God.
Constables Turner, Davis, Cunningham and O'Connell report to the station office immediately. Detective Sergeant Jessard report to the Detective Chief Inspector's office. The Detective Constable on standby report to Detective Inspector Cameras. Constables Turner, Davis, Cunningham and O'Connell report to the station office.
All right.
That's my album title.
Go Off for Love.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kulturecast. I am your host, Chris Stachiw, and I'm joined by my two good friends all the way from somewhere in the Midwest. I guess we're technically all somewhat in the Midwest. Mike might not consider himself in the Midwest. All the way from Chicago, your friend and mine, Spencer Parsons.
Hello, glad to be here.
And he's the host of the projection booth, and he programmed this entire month, Mike White.
I'm sorry, guys. I got to turn off the lights over here. There's a little bit of a glare on my screen.
Jesus. You think J.J. Abrams watches this movie is just like, the lens flare, it's so good. It's so good.
Is that lens flare? It's...
What is it?
No, I think it's a superimposition.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. I keep thinking it's the light from like the inquiry, like the third degree type light.
I thought it was the dentist chair. Yeah. That's what it looks like, looking up into the light at the dentist chair.
Oh, yeah. I don't see a man with tremendous amounts of nose hair hanging over me. So,
is it safe? On this episode of the Kulturecast, we are continuing Mike White May with a look at 1973's Sidney Lumet directed film, The Offence. So the film is directed by Sidney Lumet, written by John Hopkins, based on a play of the same name by the same author. It stars Sean Connery as Detective Sergeant Johnson, who kills a child molester, ? And that's the entire movie. The end. We can go home now. No, it's about a cop who kills a man in custody and the repercussions surrounding that. And also it's a character study on what happens to police officers as they're exposed to violence and crime and the things that they have to deal with on a daily basis. Also, this film is told in a non-linear format. So there is that as well, which is always exciting. Mike, I'm going to kick it to you first since it is your month and you program the film. Why The Offence? And why so many Sidney Lumet films?
Well, and was that also a reference to Blazing Saddles?
Yes, it was.
Okay, wow, weird.
Yes, it was. Thank you for
people
noticing.
At home, this is the third Blazing Saddles reference we've had in 17 minutes. So why did I pick this one? I've always wanted to see this movie. I had heard about its reputation as being spectacular. I had never seen it before. And when it comes to the Lumet connection, I did not even realize when I was picking films that I was picking 3 Sidney Lumet films. So as we talked about last time, I was very familiar with the Anderson tapes, had never seen The Hill, had never seen The Offence, and am really glad that I picked this one. So far, feeling pretty good about this month. Really hoping, like the next 2 aren't duds, but feeling pretty good about this. And man, oh man, what a gut punch of a movie this is.
Yeah.
Spencer, what about you? I know you're raring, chomping at the bit to talk. So what did you think of The Offence?
I didn't know anything about this movie going in. Man alive, why is this not a bigger deal? Why is this a lesser known Sidney Lumet and lesser known Sean Connery movie? Because it's like Sidney Lumet firing on all cylinders, Sean Connery, one of his most interesting performances for sure. And also I was looking into it a little bit, and Connery fought to get this movie made. This movie happened as Connery's price for doing another Bond. And I'm like, well, was it Diamonds Are Forever, maybe?
Yep.
That Yeah. Well, then Diamonds Are Forever, which is a pretty terrible Bond film, all worth it if it got this movie made.
No kidding. Yeah, this Mike, we talked on the last episode, Mike and I did, with Cullen, and Mike, you had brought that up, actually, the Anderson tapes possibly being the Bond film, kind of, one in, one out. No, to Spencer's point, and I think we realized it on the last episode, it is this film. And to your point, Spencer, and to what you said, Mike, my Lord, what a film. Look, Sean Connery, we all come into Sean Connery from a different spot. Spencer, Mike, and I have talked about our Sean Connery kind of affection and feelings towards him. So this is your opportunity. What are your thoughts on Mr. Connery as an actor and kind of just his body of work in general? Because one of the things we had been talking about was Connery tends to not get recognized for the things he did outside of Bond a whole lot, which is a shame because he seems like, and this movie definitely is adding a huge drop into that bucket, he's a really fucking great capital A actor, not classically trained, but a capital A actor nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this movie is like, up there for his most impressive performances. It's like, I love him in Time Bandits, which is a very different kind of flavor from Bond. I'm not the biggest Untouchables fan, but I really like him in that movie. But that's like that's a fine performance. But compared to The Offense, The Untouchables great performance, but like a cartoon in comparison to this. Really remarkable, and really ballsy at the time to really take, because in a certain way, Bond is not a cop, but he's a law enforcement adjacent character. And for Connery to take the sort of, one of the things I like about Connery as Bond is like, he's suave and everything, but he's also a bully. But this pushes fully into the like bad cop direction and puts me in the mind of like, I was actually comparing this a lot as a very different kind of bad cop, very different kind of performance, but it reminded me of Hackman as Popeye Doyle a little bit for the level of like kind of obsessive figure. Now, much more psychological than Popeye Doyle. We don't get into what Popeye Doyle's neuroses are, except the obvious racism that is expressed at various points throughout the French Connection. But this just and just in general, this is one of those, the 70s is the greatest era of the police procedural, and this is another great one.
Yeah, I was reminded a little bit while I was watching this of, did you guys ever see The Pledge with Nicholson from 2001? Yeah, which was based on the book. It's got a lot of translations, but It Happened in Broad Daylight or Cold Light of Day. I've watched those. It's those were earlier versions, and it's similar insofar as there's child murder, and we go all the way back to M, if not earlier than that, when it comes to child murder. Right. But this whole idea of the obsessive cop who's going to do anything and everything that he can to catch this child murderer, and just the lengths that he goes to try to figure out who this person is and track this person down. You get a lot more feel in these other films as to the absolute guilt of the person. And I love that there is such a big question mark over this. And I also, Chris, you mentioned the nonlinear storytelling. I mean, once we get into the movie, about 20 minutes into this thing, like once Connery goes home from this horrible day of a child being taken, she's the third child in a series of things. And I was like, is this child being raped? Are they being murdered? It sounds like the killer the offender has not gone to that level, that it is rape, it is not murder. And they even address that, like, well, at least she's okay. And it's like, yeah, no, it's not okay. Like she's alive, but she now has this memory that she's going to contend with the rest of her life. Once they get into Connery going home to his wife, I'm like, oh, this was based on a play. I'm just like, all right, this is very play-like, but my God, like there are, after the first, like I said, 20, 25 minutes, maybe it's even a little bit more than that. After that chunk, we get 3 big chunks of movie. That's sorry to get so technical when I say chunk, but 3 big chunks of movie where it is basically 2 people, sometimes a few more, in a room going at it. This is such an acting exercise, and I am here for it. Just the performance from his wife in this, the performance from Trevor Howard in this, the performance from is it Ian Bannen, and then you've got Connery just going toe to toe with them every single time. And then for me, it's that whole question of, can you take a play and make it into a movie and not make it feel like a play? So once you start getting some of these images from inside of Connery's head, seeing some past crimes that have affected him, seeing him recast as the person that is doing this horrible thing to children, seeing that, to coin a phrase, in the cold light of day, where you're like, was he the person that's doing this? Like, casting doubt on him, even? Like, I don't think that we're supposed to come away from this movie being like, oh, well, obviously Johnson was the real murderer, the real culprit here. I don't think so. I think he's seeing these venal thoughts that are coming from his interaction with Baxter and from all of the years of just this horrible stuff that he has been seeing since he was like a patrolman on the beat. And he has finally come to the part where he cannot take it anymore. What an amazing psychological study of one particular person.
Yeah, well, and from the time that he finds the girl, so one is it like they're doing the big search party, but then it goes in close on Connery, and as he seems to hear her, in the bushes somewhere, he suddenly becomes a tracker where the way that his behavior is shot feels guilty even as he's saving her. He has 100%. To hold her against the ground because she just wants to run away, which on the one level makes sense. He's going to save her. But on another level, it feels like he is attacking her. And then when the rest of the cops come in and they find him with the girl, there's a way in which, again, it's shot that makes Connery look guilty. And we know from context that he's not, but it's the way that it feels, and it's setting us up for the rest of this movie.
Absolutely. Those lights on him, he looks like he's in that spotlight. He looks like he is the guilty party. The way he's leaning over her, you're sitting there thinking, is he about to fucking molest this girl? This is fucking crazy. And even the way that he finds her, to your point, turns off his flashlight. It's almost like a Will Graham kind of thing. Like, he gets in the head of the killer and is like, if I were the killer, or sorry, I keep saying killer, even though he hasn't murdered. The way that he gets into
he is the killer, Mike, to be fair.
True. Yes. The way that he gets into that mindset, and he is the one that is able to track down this girl and where she's at. That's like, okay, he has really, like, I think the comparison to Manhunter is very appropriate. He's gotten into the headspace of this horrible person who can do horrible things. Now he sees himself doing that. The reason why Will Graham went so fucking crazy, like before Manhunter even starts, is because he could empathize and he could get into like a Hannibal Lecter's head. This is the same thing for me, where Connery can get inside of this guy's head and it scares the bejesus out of him.
Yeah, I'm surprised, Spencer, you mentioned this, that this movie, especially Connery's performance, isn't more well regarded. I mean, I appreciate that Ian Bannen is great in the movie, and he is. He was nominated for a BAFTA.
Yeah.
But Sean Connery in this movie is putting in a lot of work, play. I mean, Anderson Tapes was like, it's playing against type. This is playing against type, like really playing against type for Connery. And to your point, Mike, about like getting inside of his head and like seeing his thought process and what he's doing, we don't get to see that with Bond. That's not a Bondian thing. Like Bond's monologue is all internal. Like it's all an internal monologue with himself. This character, we get to see that. And so it's interesting because rarely do we get to see inside of a character that Connery plays so deeply and intimately in a way that, by the end of the movie, Connery is like in genuine tears trying to get some level of empathy from this person that again, he kind of, that whole scene is completely out of control when we get there. But my point being, like, it's rare that we get to see this closely into a character that Connery is playing at this level, especially around this time when it's like just barely post-Bond.
Exactly. It's a really remarkable performance, and the sort of the shifts in a lot of places in the movie, the shifts from vulnerability into violence and rage are really fascinating. It's like in the big middle sort of play-like session, but it's shot so well, like so beautifully shot, the scene with his wife, and she kind of has to beg him to open up about what is going on with him in this case, and he unloads all of this internal pain, but without her even provoking him. The unloading of the pain turns into the provocation to abuse her. And here she is, just trying to listen, just trying to, to be helpful. I read her performance as still being in love with somebody that she knows hates her, and that's where things have gone in this relationship. And there's a point at which it feels like, oh, maybe they're going to work something out. They're making a connection, and it's almost like at the most hopeful moment of his opening up, he shifts into abuse, and like, you cannot see this side of me. This can't be allowed. And Connery pulls off that turn so well, and then goes through not as big but similar turns with Ian Bannen later as the suspect who he ultimately kills.
Yes. Yeah. It's like he's never opened up to her before, and it's like all of this stuff comes flooding out, and she just has a moment of hesitation. That whole thing where he tells her this story of what happened to him all of these years ago. She can't take it. She goes and throws up. And for him, that's weakness. And he can't have that. And that's basically like, now that's his excuse of, well, I tried to open up to you. You couldn't handle it. Fuck you. And just, again, the abuse just keeps coming out. And, when he starts talking about that she's old and he doesn't find her attractive and all, and it's just, you're hitting below the belt every single time, like, I don't know how many of us have been in relationships like that, but it's just like, oh shit, this is real bad stuff. And and again, she is just going right back and forth. Vivian Merchant as Maureen is so just good. Killing this thing. And just, to have them going back and forth. And yes, we're moving from room to room and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, kind of play like, but this is okay. I'm here for it just because I just want to see this acting. Like, this is such an exercise for me. And I'm just like, yes. Yeah. I'm like, oh, wow. And that it's Connery. And like, when we did Rankin on Bond, Chris, we were just like, yeah, he's great. He's so cool. He's pretty great. But he wasn't given anything to work with. It was just like, all right, there's no pathos. It's basically a comic book movie. Sorry, anybody that's offended by that. But these are basically like little spy stories and stuff. Yeah. Sean Connery pretends to be an Asian man in one and like gets away with it. Oh, okay, cool. Here it's just like he's got nothing. He's got the hat. He's not wearing the piece anymore. He's just like not wearing the tux. He's just wearing that big ratty jacket and everything. And my God, he commands the screen every single time he's on there. And he just looks big. He just looks like he is so big. And when it comes to like the interactions with Ian Bannen, you're just like, my God, how big are his hands? Because he can fit this guy's whole head between his two hands.
Sean Connery's a big man.
Yes, he is.
And this is an area where I gotta say that Sidney Lumet really obviously adapted a lot of plays, but is really next level in just positioning and moving the camera and moving the people, two people in a room talking for, I don't know, this scene is 15 minutes? It is a nice big chunk of movie. Might even be longer than that. But it never, like, we can spot that, it was a play or whatever, but it is total cinema in the way that the camera approaches the action between these two people. Sure, we get some shot in reverse, but it never settles into that for very long. Their physical relationships to one another, how they how they move, how they dodge and parry and chase, around the room is really incredible. Just a master class in how cinema capturing two people trying to communicate is and can be such an amazing thing. And that scenes that go down the rabbit hole are so worthwhile, as cinema, not just adapting from a play, but, cinematically taking the time and just focusing on these people for the length of time that it takes. Man, hats off. It's just masterful. Some of Lumet's best work, because it's so hard. I mean, this is like at the, Long Day's Journey into Night, tackling Eugene O'Neill territory, I think, in terms of how he's visualizing this extremely intense drama between these people. And both of these actors are just on fire.
It's amazing when I think about it, because I don't know if 12 Angry Men was just a teleplay or if it was also a play, because that is
right.
It's set down, right? And it's just the one setting. Like, obviously you have a little bit at the beginning with the judge saying okay, you're charged, go back in the deliberation room and don't come back out until you have a verdict. And you get the little thing at the end with the old man saying goodbye to Henry Fonda. But the rest of it feels like a play, but he shoots it so well and just, makes it so that, those faces and those close-ups, again, just like an amazing array of actors in that particular film, just so well shot. And then I think about my other favorite Lumet, which is, Lumet, which is Death Trap. I forget that he directed that as well, it's great because that one ends with the reveal. And again, I can't remember if that was a play or not, but even in the movie itself,
it was the movie.
Okay. But the movie becomes a play at the end of it.
Right.
You are suddenly thrust into, with those flashing lights of the lightning and everything. And then suddenly we cut from, we are watching the movie to we are watching the play that was written by the people that we were just watching in the movie part of the movie. And I just love that. And yeah, he's amazing. These adaptations and just the way that he shoots the stuff. Again, Death Trap never I was a young man when I saw that. I probably saw that first run when it was out. I didn't know that it was a play. I didn't know anything about anything back then, but it's just now I watch it. I'm just I can tell it's a play, but he shoots it so fucking well. It does not feel we're just stuck here, and Chris, we talked about that even with The Hill, so much of that takes place in 2-3 sets. That's it. But he just lets these actors, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
If you know how to cast well and you get good actors who elevate anything that they're given, I mean, I won't say anything, but I mean, damn near anything, I think you stick with those actors and you continue to work with them. And Sidney Lumet saw that in Connery clearly, because I know we haven't watched a non-Lumet film yet this month, Mike. So it's kind of hard to say it.
Next week. Yeah.
Right. It's kind of hard to say Connery, outside of Lumet, Connery's still a great actor. I know he is because I'm just Untouchables and other things. But in terms of his serious stuff, Lumet seems to be able to get a really good serious performance out of Sean Connery. But again, Sean Connery's such a great actor. It's been in there this whole time. It's just the directors that work with Connery. I just don't think that was the expectation, I guess, with the guy who played James Bond. I would like to point out, it is very funny to me, something else about Connery that just cracks me up. Post Bond, the man was rarely seen without facial hair. Rarely seen, which is fucking hilarious. And for me, I mean, obviously when you think of him as Bond, he's clean shaven. He would clean shave for Never Say Never Again, but guys rarely clean shaven post Bond. It's either a mustache or a beard or the two, or In the Name of the Rose, the whole thing. Yeah. I love it because I think it makes Connery look more gruff. I think he looks more gruff with facial hair. He looks more intimidating with facial hair. He looks a little angrier with facial.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Did you realize, Chris, that Ian Bannen is also in The Hill, that he's Harris, one of the guards?
Not really, because again, most of those guys are just wearing helmets.
Yeah, he looks so different. And it's only a few years. What was that, 65? And this is, 73?
Yep, that's right.
It's not like time was being cruel to him. He just he's kind of a chameleon. Like I was looking at pictures of him and I was like, wow, he can really make himself look very different. And he just carries himself so, kind of like it's so funny because you're watching this and he never asks like, why did you bring me in? What's going on? Like just the way that he's introduced is this kind of like wandering drunk that the cops just happen to bring in. And so just even the way that he's brought in, you're like, well, what is the connection? Why do you suddenly think that he's the guy? It almost seems like so easy, but then it's like, well, you got mud on you and you've got these scratches on your head. And it's like while we're watching this, we're not getting the blow by blow. And I don't even know if they do ask, like, where'd you get the scratches from? Why do you have mud on yourself? And he also never says, why did you bring me in? Like, he doesn't sit there and just say, like, I'm innocent or I want my solicitor or any of that stuff. Like, finally, he will ask for a solicitor, but it goes on for a long time before he ever brings that up. And he just is so like, the way they bring him into the police station, he's like practically comatose the way that he's brought in. And just, it's like, then suddenly he gets thrust into this scenario where you've got all these cops asking him stuff. And then the way that Connery just tells the one remaining guard to take a hike and has this private session with him. This is every bad cop we've seen in every movie ever.
So I'm curious, where do y'all come into the Ian Bannen character? Is he, I know like is he or isn't he, is he acting like he's guilty in the movie? That's the question, because whether he's guilty or not, the movie never gives us a straight answer intentionally. I feel like he's acting guilty and he's baiting Connery into doing what he does. Maybe he doesn't think Connery will take it to the extent that he does. And, his death will become part of it. But someone who could be doing what his character would be doing would know that baiting someone like a Connery type into beating the shit out of him would get him out of anything he did. And I like that he's given a shade of gray, but he is acting rather guilty. I mean, he talks about that guy in school and he's like, oh, you're having me now, huh? And it's like, yeah, dude, like, yeah, he's got your ass right where he wants you. You just don't realize it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that story. And you don't see that the first time. The way that we get reveals of him, we see just like a very tiny bit of him at the very beginning. But then like the, initial questioning, we get some, but then we go away, and then we come back and he's already on the ground kind of thing, like leaning his head against that chair. And then to go back to that later on in the movie, I think is brilliant. And again, I imagine if I was watching the play of this, we only probably see him the one time. We probably get him at the end. I think that the play is written in the same out of sequence style where it's the wife, it's the inspector who's checking out Connery's story post incident, and then it's the incident. But having this introduction of him early on, I think is really smart. And then showing us the crime that Connery commits a few times really kind of casts it in a new light every single time.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think part of the ambiguity, Chris, for me, gets caught up in, yes, he behaves like he's guilty, but is he guilty? Is he feeling guilty about something else?
Right.
Exactly what is he feeling guilty about? Is it this crime, or is it, obviously the other stuff that comes out about his past and how it comes out with Connery? This is really, really interesting. I think ultimately I come down on the side of, yeah, it seems like maybe he's baiting Connery into killing him because he is guilty of this crime and he knows what he can. He spots his double. Spots that Connery is like himself, and that if he can just draw this out, he'll die. But because we never know, that's, this is like one, I actually feel like everybody should have to watch a movie like this, because we're getting all these, like, we live in a world now of conspiracy theories over whether somebody acted emotionally in the right way after some totally traumatic event happened to them. And I feel like this kind of drama where you really are outside and you just got some cues about somebody's behavior, what kind of guilt, what is the guilt really about? I really feel like we then, I don't know, I'm hoping too much for the conspiracy theorists, but this just does remind me of how we live in this world of thinking, oh yeah, we know the inside of this person because of how they behaved immediately after some traumatic event, and then we're going to invent all kinds of stories about it. And Lumet and Connery really, and Ian Bannen really put us through, how do we gain access to someone's subjectivity? And with Connery, of course, we get these flashes of what's in his mind. He's the most revealed out of anybody. And I got to say, that car ride in the middle of the movie, going to all the different images of cases that he's been on in the past, and we don't know that yet. Like, I was wondering, is this cross-cutting to like the next stage in this particular case? And then I start to figure out, no, this is like a bunch of memories that he's going with. That stuff was like, without being super gory or anything, genuinely shocking, like, really, really intense. And, I was definitely at the edge of my seat, kind of sickened by these images that are coming into his head in the middle of the movie. And then, of course, those images are, this is where, again, the cinema of this as an adaptation into a play. Yeah, then later we talk about some of these images. We describe the cases where he got there. But having seen these flashes before, oh my God, like both parts of that are just like really, really intense. And wondering, really wondering about at that where Connery is going to go. How is this going to happen? He is really dangerous, and also somebody we can, I feel like on some level, pity at the same time. Pity does not let him remotely off the hook. We can have both of these things at the same time, but it really does make a case for the damage done to somebody. And that's where, again, this is a totally different deal from some of our other like 70s bad and questionable cops. We really, really go into the cop's trauma that is motivating this behavior. And what it does is not let the cop off the hook, but kind of indict a system that cannot, that cannot control violence.
If you or I had the image flash repeatedly of a chicken being beheaded in your brain over and over again, I was honestly waiting. It very much reminded me of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where it's all those like the cutting away. I was like, oh my God, I'm waiting for the chicken to be beheaded, and then as they're going through the tunnel. No, it's right. It's one of those things where like movies that talk about police officers, a specific kind of police officer, do these kinds of like, when you get too close to the case, you become involved in the case. Like, I know Zodiac tried to traffic in that a little bit, which is why I enjoy that movie so much. I don't think it does it as much as this movie does. I think Zodiac does it more in terms of Robert Graysmith's character, less the character that Mark Ruffalo plays. But I like the idea of what happens when this cop gets too close, because he has to be so close because that's his job. And also, again, juxtaposing it with someone who you kind of always see as the good character because it's Sean Connery. But then, like you said, Spencer, you have this guy who's like huge and with a level of toxic masculinity and unbridled rage, and that combination together is horrifying. And he literally kills someone and attempts to justify it about halfway through the movie too, which is the wild part,
Oh man, we haven't talked about that scene with Trevor Howard yet, and that's also remarkable. Just amazing work between those two actors.
Yeah, and again, Trevor Howard, this guy's no slouch, and here's Connery just giving it his all, and he makes it look effortless, which is wonderful. I don't feel like this is some sort of grab at, look at me, I'm a serious actor. Like I'm taking this guy bloody serious through this whole thing. And I just love all the machinations of the actual police department and everything. And I love the color palette, or should I say lack of color palette. Everything looks so sickly and like it's not really a greenish tint. It's more of like a light blue tint that everything has from like these neon lights, and just it looks so dire. And after he kills or sends this suspect to the hospital, like, it's raining outside. It's just so drab. And even just the countryside where you see the little girl being, taken away and everything. And I love that you have the witness who's too far away to see anything and who waits too long to come to the police and say stuff. And he is just pissed. He's just a boiling font of rage throughout all of this movie. And you just sense that boiling tension. And back to the whole thing of the flashing images. I mean, we are being told so little with just a few frames of things like that. The rib with the hand coming out.
Yeah.
Oh God. And you're just like, I don't want to know. I do not want to know what the scene was when you walked in here. This is bad. And like, you see the person falling off the top of the building, and I'm like, was that a fall? Was it a push? Who is this?
Yeah.
What's going on here? You see certain images where you're like, I don't even know what this thing is, but it's very effective. Like it almost looks like there's a door open and some water dripping, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. But it builds the mood, and just the repetition of things, the use of the train that goes through that montage as well. Minimalist filmmaking for maximum effort. Yeah.
Well, and so you bring up the color, and this comes from the predominant spaces are brutalist architecture.
Yes,
and in a way, this is then brutalist filmmaking.
Agreed.
Not simply because like the architecture is there and creates all these intense lines, but also the way that the movie is covered and cut becomes these like blocks of things put together, in a similar kind of fashion and following such intense lines, like, so for instance, the apartment that he shares with his wife could look totally different, but that set is designed to, even though it's not literally a brutalist space, to imitate those hard lines that we get in the police station. The lines of the hallways, the lines of windows that people are looking through. So there's this intense kind of brutalism. You also mentioned the fluorescent lights. There's something evil about the hallways in the police station. Like, people always seem to be, as they're moving through the hallways, they are in distress or feel dread. You get people running to and running away from things. And so it's like you've got this fluorescent lit kind of hallway that seems to contain violence, that, or if it's not containing the violence, it's spitting it out into one of these rooms. Just throughout the movie, we get these really intense lines. There's a beautiful and horrific shot in that sequence of flashes where we've been seeing the train, and the train is then going, it's still going along, but it's not just a shot of a train. Now there seems to be a group of people, extracting a dead body from, the side of the train tracks and bringing it down to an ambulance at the road below. The movie is just full of this kind of very angular and brutal, brutal lines, brutal movements, and ultimately a brutal storytelling. I don't know that the story itself would quite count as brutalist, but the way that people move through this and how the movie cuts, how the camera moves, feels very much in tune with this architecture. And I think the architecture becomes really important to seeing not just Connery as one bad and damaged cop, but getting a sense of a system that is, rigidly holding everybody in and producing horrifying results.
You get that beautiful shot of those yellow flowers, only for the camera to tilt up and show us the desiccated body hanging in the forest.
That's right.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Did it remind anybody else of Don't Look Now? because it
It
also
did.
a little bit of that as well, like the imagery that's being used here. I would say it's being used to similar effect in both films. I mean, it's being used to kind of jolt the audience and get them to kind of, I don't know, be disturbed, or in this film's case, be put in the mindset of this character. I do like how most of the scene with Trevor Howard is just him projecting, and a lot of the movie is just him projecting. Like, don't you know, in his mind, he was just thinking about this girl in the mud, and it's like, bro, that was you. That was you that was thinking about. Like, it's not him, it's you. You're the one who's condemning yourself. You just don't realize it. And it's like, at the moment he's put in front of anybody who can psychoanalyze him, they're going to do the exact same fucking thing. This guy is toast. That's the thing that he realizes, and that he's attempting so hard to like course correct, is he's trying to validate it. But I think the movie, as we watch it, as it slowly goes on, he realizes more and more just how completely fucked he is, and how completely in line with the person he was condemning he is as well. And maybe he's condemning someone unfairly, and he's more just looking for a reason to externalize his own self-loathing and self-condemnation.
You know, you're talking about the apartment space and those great glass windows that they have that distorts anything that's behind it, you know, or the lights in there just feel like they're never touching the darkness of the room. That just feels so dim and dirty in there, and so cluttered with like knickknacks. You like look at her kitchen and she's got all of these pots and pans every fucking place, and it just feels like a fucking disaster area. And then I love that sequence inside of that area where the cops come to pick him up to take him back to the office, and he's, you know, they have to be there with him while he's shaving because he might slit his throat. They have to be there with him when he's putting on his shirt. I love seeing John Hallam in this. It's like, I grew up on Dragon Slayer, and Flash Gordon is like, he was such a stock face in these British movies from that period of time. And here he's 7 years younger than he was in Flash Gordon, but he always looks like an old man, you know, like just always very dour and everything. I mean, even the windows to outside of their apartment, you can't see anything. I don't know if it's because of the rain, but like there's no view outside of this place. It just feels like grime, absolute grime.
It's very Seven adjacent.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, Seven
doing bad things.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you see the guy coming off of the roof, like when you watch it the second time, it's like, oh, there's people pushing this guy off, and it looks like one of them's wearing a bobby hat. So maybe that was Connery's first time doing this. We don't know. Yeah,
don't know. No, it's interesting. Yeah, I was thinking of Seven earlier because obviously Seven is more gothic and kind of florid in its crime scene imagery than these flashes are, but these flashes were actually more upsetting to me than anything in Seven. In Seven definitely has some grotesque kind of moments, but in terms of just pure upset, Sidney Lumet wins. I'm a big fan of David Fincher, but this is like one of those things where I just go, oh wow, we're just at a different level of darkness. Like to be fair, Seven, a fine film and really well made, but this is like high school darkness.
It's very performative dark.
It's performative darkness.
Wouldn't it be creepy if a guy was in a room with all? I mean, yeah, it would be, but you know what could actually happen to you? A cop fucking murdering. I don't know how else to put it, but like in this day and age, in this economy, folks, I'd gladly let a police officer fucking murder me over having, David Fincher's whatever Seven. Like what happens in this movie is awful. Like really, genuinely awful. Like just being beaten to death by another human being. Like just beaten to death.
We go to a darker place, and in part because, it doesn't take a head in a box to get Connery to kill another human being.
Yeah.
It's, man, I mean, I'm just gobsmacked that this was like, I haven't been hearing that this is a great film for years. Cause this is like, this feels like, especially as like a film school cinephile, this feels like one of those movies, like Charlie Varick or something, that, a crime movie that is passed along, like, part of the special secrets of cinephiles. That's like a little bit deeper cut, but feels like it should be at least at the Charlie Varick level. And it's not. It's not talked about, but I hope we can get people talking about it, because it's like, this is a really incredible film. And I'm glad that it's going to be interrupted by, commercials for all kinds of drugs with a million different bad indications. But it is on Tubi and people should watch it. It's a real thing of beauty, this film, and real horror.
Yes, Spencer, you mentioned the police station. One thing I picked up on when I was watching it the second time was because we get that scene in the hallway where they discover that Connery is beating the guy to death. And you see that scene play out a few times. And it took me until the second viewing to see the ladder that was in the hallway.
Yes.
And I'm like, why the hell is this ladder here? And then when you get to the Trevor Howard part, you see like the wall is ripped away. There's a toilet sitting right behind Connery. This wall's ripped away. There's a ladder over here. This ladder. It's like they are either rebuilding or renovating this whole place. So it's that whole, like, this place is unfinished. It is unsettled. We are put into just the place itself is a place that is not complete, and like, again, to your point about the brutalist stuff, like those metal shutters that seem to be like on the wall on the opposite side from that ladder, like, it's just like, what is going on? And like, just that the guy can hear the screams from inside of there. There are no windows. There's no one-way mirror here. You're just like, you have to trust that whatever's going on in there is okay. And people probably beat people all the time in police stations, but this one is bad enough that he goes and gets help. Holy shit. It must be really bad.
You guys ever notice how if you take drywall off of walls, that studs look like jail cell bars? Studded up walls just look like jail cell bars, especially in that scene with Connery and Trevor Howard where he's sitting there in that chair behind him. It's just the walls that have been built out with just the 2x4s. Just casually looks like a jail cell. Just casually looks like a jail wall. Like, it's one of my favorite movies is Glengarry Glen Ross, which, I mean, is a glorified adaptation of fucking play. Like, I would say it effectively adds nothing new to an otherwise perfect stage play. Like, it is except
for the brass balls, brass ball.
Right.
That whole speech, not in the play.
Right.
Oh.
That's
so good they had to add it to the play.
Right.
Yes.
Other than that, the movie is not going out of its way to do anything. It is a straight up retelling of a play. And I love when a film does that. This does more than Glengarry Glen Ross does in so many ways.
Absolutely.
But I think it touches on that same idea of like less ultimately is more when the writing is this good and the acting is this good. You don't have to like zhuzh it up with a bunch of bullshit. You can just let the movement and the action and the actors command the scene, because they do. Connery and Trevor Howard in that scene are amazing. Connery and Ian Bannen in their scene together are amazing. Like, you don't need anything else. That's why it's a stage play, and that's why it stood alone as a stage play before this ever came out. Like, when the writing is good, you can literally just have two people talking and the set dressing falls away.
It's interesting for me too, the way, you were talking about the whole performative thing and, is this person guilty? And we're looking for this, we're looking for that. Because of us being the observers of this whole story, us being this audience, we are looking for all those little micro things, like, oh, did you notice how he reacted when Connery brought up his kids? Did you notice how Connery reacted when this happened? And just like, we are there constantly trying to figure this out. Like, we are kept off guard the entire time. The nonlinear structure is helping with that. The flashbacks are helping with that. The recasting of Connery as the rapist is helping with that. It's amazing that we are just constantly being kept off our feet. There's no point in this movie where you feel comfortable. Maybe in the first 20 minutes when it's kind of a police procedural, but even then, it starts like in immediate res kind of thing.
It is so completely jarring.
Yeah, it's like, who is this person? Who are these guys? Okay, I guess they're cops. What's going on? Oh, I guess there were two this abductions before? What happened to those girls? We don't know. Like constantly, and they like are purposefully omitting things to keep us just on tenterhooks. Like at no point does the offender, potential rapist, say, well, listen, I was just out having a pint at the bar and I fell in some mud and I did that. Like we don't get that stuff. We are kept so off balance.
I find the part of the film that's the most disturbing to be anytime we cut away to Connery with the little girl.
Oh, yeah.
What?
It's awful.
It's awful. It's the worst part of this movie because it speaks to, like you just mentioned, Mike, we don't know in this room of two human beings which of them is the shark and which one isn't, and they might both be the shark.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever played the board game Werewolf, but if you play it with enough people, there are two werewolves in that crowd sometimes, and that's my read of this situation. I know everybody likes to go, oh, the Thing, what happened at the end of the Thing, who's the Thing at the end of the Thing. What if they're both the fucking Thing? And that's this right here. Like, this scene is less a good cop and a bad guy. It's two bad people. Just, we don't know which shade of bad each one of them is, but they're both very bad. But the issue is we don't know. In any other film, you wouldn't know that about Connery without being given all that backstory and given those flashbacks and those flashes into his mind, because otherwise he seems like a justified cop.
Mm-hmm.
Until you see the internal monologue that he's having with himself constantly. I mean, again, Trevor Howard even says that, like, a case like this, we understand. But then Connery starts outing himself. It's like, shut your fucking mouth, dude. Like, stop talking. Stop saying these things. And it's that makes this so much better than any other kind of thing like this I've seen before. That
crazy bitch in the SUV, it was going to run me over, so I had to shoot her in the fucking face.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? We'll just move you over to another department and you'll be absolutely fine. It's like the Catholic priest kind of thing.
They were asking for it, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that guy was definitely pulling out his gun and had fired shots at us. I'm sure of it. So, yeah. And it's so, oh God, it's just fascinating to me. Like, I think if you were to recut this as a linear story, I think the last thing we see of him is like after Trevor Howard is done with him. But when you put it in the context of how this movie actually is cut, I think it's like an hour and a half out of a close to 2-hour movie is basically the end of the film. And then we go back and now we see the titular offense, as it were, which is the offense? Is it the thing against the little girl, or is it the thing that happens with this potential suspect? Like, which is it? And then going back into that, half an hour before this movie ends. And basically, it's a half an hour of these two guys just going at it. Holy fuck, is that amazing.
And I like that the movie spends ample time building that up and leaving us in the dark. And then when we get to it, it's like, oh, okay, that's what this is. Like, Connery outs himself to this guy as a man with murderous and rapist fantasies. And then again, this is another way to read it. He has to kill him. He has no choice. The guy rebuffs him and he goes, you know what? Time to die. And you know what? You could, I know we could say what this is, we could look at this as a lot of things, transpose this onto a lot of situations where emotional vulnerability is given in one direction and it's received, and then you give it back in the other direction and the person rebuffs you. I mean, we've seen that in film before with other kinds of situations. Normally it's a queer thing where it's like, I'm gay and no, I'm not gay, but I accept that you're gay. Like, that normally is more kind of the usual situation with characters being rebuffed. But I like how there is this kind of weird undertone here of share with me, I'll show you yours if you show you mine. And then when he shows him his, he's like, oh, just fuck you. Like, never mind. Deal with it yourself. Like, and it's like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, I guess my only choice now is to just fucking kill you.
The way he grabs on, I was talking about those hands. And you've got that amazing shot with Trevor Howard where he says, like, in these hands, and you like get that shot of the hands in front of Howard's face. And
moment.
And you cut back to Connery and his hands are up like that. And then all of the stuff that's going on, I talked about how he grabs the guy by with those massive hands, but then he like holds on to his hands and just is squeezing that guy's hands so tight. He's just like, oh, like you have to stop kind of thing. Basically crushes his hands. He even uses his hands on his wife and is like grabbing onto her face and stuff. And just like, he's so physical and just such a brute in this movie.
Well, and there's a rhyme in terms of imagery in the scene with his wife where it looks like things are about to get rapey, where he's over on top of her and he, pushes her legs apart and one of his legs goes. He does not rape her in the scene, but that's what the imagery is. And then when he throws Ian Bannen down onto the table, we get very similar compositions that then feel like he's going to rape Ian Bannen.
Right. He grabs him from behind. He literally has him from behind in a like vaguely homoerotic fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then these also rhyme with the way that he has to hold the girl down on the ground and the way that he gets placed in the sort of pedophile position in his own mind in these flashes. So there's a very consistent, very dark, through line for Connery's character that is created here, and his performance matches the cinematics that Lumet is throwing his way.
Oh God. I forgot that they cut back to him one last time at the end where he's just talking to himself. There's like the cop, like he's now in the hot seat and there's the cop over there and he's just like, he wanted me to do this, he wanted me. And I'm like, oh man, you were just talking yourself into this. Like, well, I am completely justified. Like he is 100% off the reservation at the end of this movie. And what a stark fucking end to this. Like when the credits started rolling, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I've just been gutted like a fish.
It reminded me a lot of The Hill. The Hill ended the same way. We get Connery, staring into the camera. And in this, it's like, oh God, my God, like what the fuck was it? Lumet really loved ending films on a shot of Connery, just acting bewildered.
Well, this is another thing is like, I really love Sidney Lumet, but this is a film that makes me want to go back to some of his other work to just like clock how fucking dark he can go. That's not precisely his reputation.
No.
Lumet's reputation is, certainly a kind of hard-boiled professional who really delivers great cinematic storytelling, but in a lot of circles is not even, sort of treated as an auteur, but more of a journeyman director who takes on lots of different stuff. And I gotta say, this reminded me, well, this is farther out there, but it reminded me of when I saw When the Devil Knows You're Dead, which I was not adequately prepared for how nasty that film was going to be. And this is nastier and darker still. It makes me really want to reevaluate some of Lumet's work for like what a tough, nasty son of a bitch he can be as a director. Really admirable, really great, really, really great stuff. I mean, again, thinking of, I'm a big fan of Fincher, and we mentioned Zodiac earlier, for instance. I absolutely love Zodiac, but I gotta say, like, and Lumet's is definitely an influence on Zodiac. But I gotta 100%. Say, this is really going to a darker, tougher place. A much more adult. Are you ready for this kind of place?
Well, and I think it helps that this is not based on a real thing. I mean, it's inspired by, based on real events where cops actually do this, and for what reason, they could say, but we'll never know. Fincher in Zodiac is bound by the reality of the case. I like that this is not based on any one thing, that we do kind of have the ability to, like you said, Spencer, push it as far as we can go with him murdering this guy in cold blood with his bare hands. Literally not even shooting him. I'd like to point out, this is the most brutal way to die, as far as I'm concerned. It's just that being beaten to death by this 6 foot plus Scottish man, and having him crush your head in his hands. Jesus Christ, no thank you.
I never saw Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, and I really want to now. For whatever reason, I was mixing it up with I can't remember the Mike Hodges film that had a similar title. Maybe it's I'll Sleep When I'm Dead or something, which is also really fucking brutal. And I don't know why I was mixing those two films up in my brain, but now I'm like, okay, fucking Philip Seymour Hoffman, Ethan Hawke, right, is in that, I think, and Albert Finney. Yeah. I'm like, oh God, you can't really get much better than that. And to have Sidney Lumet directing that too. Okay, yeah, it is weird when you think of oh yeah, and he also did The Wiz. And it's like, what? Wait, what?
Right. Yeah, but I'm teaching a horror class right now, and I pulled sequences from The Wiz. I mean, The Wiz is notorious. That scene in the subway is horrific. So, and Lumet didn't even really love doing that film. And I love The Wiz. There's amazing stuff in it. It's a bonkers film.
I saw it a lot of times when I was growing up. So
but the scares in The Wiz are really intense. They are the scares. Technically are PG rated, but they are nightmare fuel for a child, and have always been scary to me. And when my nephews and I were watching it, they were definitely horrified at particular points in that movie.
I mean, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is a notorious for kids. It's a PG movie.
Yeah.
Fucked up. That Return to Oz is a PG movie, and it's also kind of
Return to Oz that's another one I showed in my class. Did a whole day about the traumas of Wizard of Oz adaptations, because it's no joke.
PG is not created equal, as they would say. All PG ratings are not created equal.
No, I mean, Jaws was PG. That scared the bejesus out of me. Scared the bejesus out of millions of people, and it's a PG movie. But that shot of the head coming out of the boat still makes me jump.
Poltergeist is PG, and that's scarier than a whole pile of hard R horror films.
There's a lot of these Lumet films where I'm like, well, obviously I'm familiar with some of the bigger ones, this is making me want to go back and rewatch Serpico and give it another chance, because I was not a fan the first time I saw it. This is making me want to track down, obviously I'm a fan of Dog Day Afternoon and stuff. I remember Equus fucking me up when I was a kid.
Equus is gnarly.
Oh God. But I've never seen Prince of the City, which is one of those that people do definitely talk about. I'm like, all right, I guess I should probably finally see this. Or now that I'm older than 10 years old, maybe now I'll understand the verdict if I watch it, because that was the first time I saw it was when because I was 10 when I saw that. I was probably 9 or 8 whenever Equus was showing on cable. So that was way too, yes.
Oh, wow.
Boy meets horse, boy falls in love with horse, boy kills horse. Yes. Ooh.
Yeah. No, Lumet's, really, really fascinating figure. And, I'm not going to argue over Auteur. I ultimately don't care too much about that, but there is a darker embrace and a darker personality that he brings to the work that I think is not darkness for its own sake. I mean, I actually don't even want to say dark at this point in our history. That's one of those terms for cinema that has come to have such a degraded sort of meaning. But this is the real deal. This is people on screen dealing with the shadow. It's no joke. And really so well executed, so mysterious. It's ultimately unsettling, not simply because it takes us to into a kind of hellish place and a hellish mind, but ultimately there's isn't simply ambiguous. It leaves us in essential mystery about these characters. The ambiguity is like this, that's like the tip of the iceberg that's above the surface, is the ambiguity of whether the suspect really did it or not. What is in the hearts of these two men and of Trevor Howard and the other police who we see. And this comes up as a thing right out of the gate. I mean, it's the movie's only sort of funny moment. I generally don't go in for movies that don't have much comedy to them, but this really does it. This is like, there's very little that's funny, but the funniest moment in it is when they go to the pub, and of course, in a very morbid turn, they've gone to the pub because they think that the pedophile is not on the prowl, and they find out, nope, they shouldn't have gone to the pub. They should have been watching those kids. And, the guy has nabbed another victim. The closest thing to a joke in the entire movie. And Connery's reaction in that moment is like, he absolutely knew that this was what's going to happen. And that's part of the darkness that drives him, is knowing the worst possible thing is going to happen, being sure of that worst possible thing because he's inside it.
He's living it. It's part of his existence.
What a movie. What a movie. And yeah, definitely not a feel-good film. Don't go into this. Feel good. No, don't look for this on a Sunday afternoon if you're just like, yeah, let's chill out and watch a movie, hon. Yeah.
I feel good talking about it with you guys, though. This is a great movie to chew over. So it's definitely. They should probably, we got Bleak Week coming up here again in Chicago. This strikes me as a major contender for inclusion in Bleak Week, because it's the kind of very bleak, difficult, nasty film that you should see in a theater and then chew over with your friends that you went with afterwards. It's, a great, intense, difficult conversation starter.
And I think in this day and age, holy shit. I mean, this is a rather, Mike, you made allusions to it, but it is also a pretty prescient film as well, obviously. Mm-hmm. Cops being up to no good is not just a thing in the films, folks. It's also a thing in the real life, which, again, like, happens all the time in real life. Like, sadly, it happens all the time in real life. But I do think that this film also is rather topical and could use some reappraisal, especially by those in positions to move the needle more than you or I, though we can still move the needle in our own respective way. I think this is a movie that actually has a rather large place in a conversation that needs to be had right now, which is, responsibility in policing and response and one's own responsibility when it comes to, because ultimately by the end of the movie, Ian Bannen says it to Sean Connery, and it's the truth, like, help your fucking self. It was Sean Connery's it was his job to handle his own problems, and he did not. He chose not to intentionally. And we live in a society now where people have no accountability for their actions whatsoever. We live in a lack of accountability society. I know people like to say we live in cancel culture. What fucking universe does anyone who's ever been canceled actually ever stay canceled? For fuck's sake. Louis C.K. is back. Everybody's back. Even people that were self-branded as Nazis are back. Like, I don't want to hear about fucking cancel culture. It's a lack of accountability. And that's what this movie ultimately preaches, is like, we should be practicing self-accountability, because if we don't, we get to a point where a cop murders a guy in custody and can somehow justify it to himself. Even without the interior dialogue, he could still justify it to himself. Even if we didn't know his interior monologue, he still is externally justifying it, attempting to anyway.
Well, it's interesting too, because like it doesn't really deal with the view from outside of the police. The police are centered here. They're the ones that we're watching. But as you talk about accountability, Chris, I do think that it gives us enough of a sense of a system that while we are definitely seeing bad cops and we are seeing a system of police work that is not good for them and for other people, that there is also, I think, a certain questioning of what is the responsibility for creating law enforcement? What is our responsibility toward what people have to go through in order to do this job? And that doesn't excuse anybody, and it doesn't make citizens more guilty than the cops. That's not what I'm suggesting, but it is suggestive enough of reciprocal relationships. And one of the scenes that I think of, and it's early on in the film, that doesn't fully suggest this, but Connery is kind of asking the question. When the woman who saw the little girl follow the pedophile away, this woman who sees this incident at the beginning, she's being questioned about it because she has come forward, but she's come forward really late, and potentially, too late to save the child. And Connery attacks her for this. And of course, on one level, no, she's done the right thing, but just doing the right thing, even a moment late, I don't blame her more than just, thinking twice, three times, whatever, before she's shown up at the police station. But this is like a really, really interesting push and pull that goes on in this film. The sort of, again, the corruption of that system is not as simple as one guy. It's not as simple as the cops. It is a whole community of humanity that we're bound up in.
The whole system's out of order.
The whole system's out of order.
That's right.
I know that's not Lumet, but
but it is. I mean, it's unfortunately, it is the truth. Unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the film, I think, leans into it in a way that doesn't feel preachy. It just feels part of the story. And that's a good thing. I it's not that I have a problem with the preachy film. It's just they can do better, and they did.
Yeah, well, I think this has, all tragedy has a preachy dimension, and I really do think that this is very much a kind of modern tragedy. And tragedy isn't only about the quote unquote hero dying. Oedipus Rex, he doesn't die; he just tears his eyes out. But Connery here is a kind of tragic hero driven to his own destruction. Tragedy is a mode for dealing with the forces that are much greater than any of the characters or even the characters collectively.
Mm-hmm.
What a great film, Mike. Jeez Louise. What a pick.
Yeah, you picked a great one.
Well,
Man.
thank you. Yeah. And just kind of luck of the draw, just one of those, it's been on my watch list forever and really need to do this. So that's kind of how this month came together was, boy, sure. There's a lot of Sean Connery films. Like there's one, was it 5 Days in August that I've been wanting to watch forever too, but I was just like, I'm not putting that on the list. I'll put these others on here, and I'm glad that it's worked out so far. So fingers crossed for the next one.
Mike, you just wanted to see a child molester get murdered. That's what it was.
Well, yeah. Yeah. It's nice if pedophiles actually have to pay some consequences. So if that guy was a pedophile, he got what he deserved.
Oh, man.
Where was this? We were waiting for a hot take, Spencer. I think Mike just had the hottest take of them all.
That's pretty hot. That's pretty hot. No, my hot take is not that hot. It's just my favorite Bond is Thunderball. Out of all, not just
Connery's. That is a hot take, bro.
I know people don't like Thunderball, and I'm like, no, it got lots of underwater and sharks and sharks in pools and all. It just I enjoy. It's trashy, and I enjoy Bond in a trashy mode. But Diamonds Are Forever, on the other hand, that movie stinks. That is not a good Bond movie. But I'll take it because it was the necessary price to get The Offence. So all is forgiven, Diamonds Are Forever. I won't watch again, but all is forgiven. Diamonds Are Forever is totally worth it because it got The Offence made.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, Thunderball is not great, man. I don't.
Yeah, you don't like that. No, nobody likes Thunderball.
I'm not defending your choice of that. That's fucked. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad's probably he was right. He was a From Russia with Love guy, and I do really like that one. But Thunderball has my heart. I love the ridiculousness of it all.
What was the one that Richard liked on our show, Mike? Octopussy? Was that his? That was his. I mean, mine was A View to a Kill. So
That one's pretty bad.
I mean, I don't think we've
Which is
named
yours?
anything that's A View to a Kill. So.
Wow,
I know.
That's
See,
a hot thing.
I got no room to talk.
Walken as a Bond villain, though. I mean, Walken as a Bond villain, very strong, and the Duran Duran theme, one of the best Bond themes. Truly, a great song, But
Diamonds Are Forever is kind of a retread of Goldfinger as far as the theme song goes. Yeah.
Isn't
it even Shirley Bassey doing that same?
It is.
Yeah. Diamonds Are Forever. Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like Never Say Never Again, which is basically a remake of Thunderball.
That one I like too because of Fatima Blush. So yeah, I'm right there with you on that one.
Nope. Man, that's like giving me PTSD flashbacks. I'm like sitting here like Sean Connery in The Offense, just like, I see his face playing that Battleship laser tag game on the computer. Like,
we went from the sublime to the ridiculous.
God,
and that's
good Lord.
I should not even bring up, as much as I enjoy Thunderball, I should not even bring it up in the same conversation as The Offense.
Well, it doesn't seem like the same actor, but it is. So
it is. It's the same actor. Man, he's so good. And there's another thing to appreciate here too is for all like, boy, oh boy, do we get a whole lot of talk once people start talking. We get these like big, long dialogue scenes with them. But the first big chunk of the movie, man, I just love seeing like Connery walking from one place to another, and Connery looking, and Connery observing, and Connery listening. Incredible. The man just like walks and listens so well. It's like thrilling, and actually I think sets the stage really well for when he does start to talk. All this stuff that's been stored up as he's just been silent in the first big chunk of the movie comes spewing out. He's being shaken, and eventually he's going to vomit it all out. And it's that's also like a really beautiful, and I think, again, very cinematic way of telling a story. Arrive at the talk when the talk becomes absolutely necessary for the characters and not a moment before. Because at first I was like, man, this is laconic. We're really not getting a lot of dialogue. And I was down. I was like, this is like Lumet kind of inspiring Michael Mann or somebody, and then it takes this turn into the real intense, stage dramatic kind of dialogue, and I'm so here for it. It absolutely, both of those things work together, and all that visual, more silent kind of acting pays off so well when he just volcanically erupts.
Mm.
And I love that we get to see that side of Connery, even if it's just for a moment, because again, we saw it in Bond so much with that, like the brutalism that he would bring to it. But then, he can kill a man and make love to a woman in the same scene. And not all Bonds can get away with that. Like Connery, I think he's like one of the few, and it's believable. And this is the same thing here, where by the end of the movie, I can see why he's like an uncaged animal and he goes after the cops, and then he is able to restrain himself finally, because only he is able to restrain himself because of just the level of emotion that he's operating at. But like you said, Spencer, like he has to get to that 11. And when he gets to that 11, it's, one bad day. What happens on the one bad day? This is his, it took 20. I mean, the poster for it says like after 20 years, Sergeant Johnson's, he's had enough. And it's like, anybody in that room with him, Ian Bannon's Kenneth Baxter or not, probably would have had a hard time being talked out of not being murdered by Sean Connery, honestly.
Well, this is also, you mentioned that this is a really, I hadn't looked at the poster, but this is a really sly, maybe even unintentional way to sell this movie, because it took 20 years for this cop. You kind of then expect that this is going to be more of a redemptive, violent, Dirty Harry kind of thing, if that's what's being sold. 20 years of anger, the angry cop is like, finally he's going to get him some justice. And that is not what this movie delivers, though it is about the 20 years of anger that you can feel in that performance.
Well, and of course, this movie did not do well at the box office. People were not clamoring to go see this one. I mean, the critics knew what was going on, but yeah, this was not, nobody's coming in, like I said, it's a
even in 73.
Yeah, exactly. When we are primed and ready for the most dire, desperate stories that we've ever seen on screen, when a happy little go lucky thing of two friends traveling across the country is fucking Scarecrow, like nothing is good, people wonder why Star Wars and Jaws were such big hits. It's like, have you seen what other people are watching? Yes, of course, there were escapist things and, all throughout the cinema history. But I mean, we were pumping out some great dire films. So, yeah. And this is one of the most, like I said, man, when those credits roll, when we cut back to that police interrogation room one last time, and he's just knocked out 3 of his fellow officers after killing the suspect, and you get that light superimposed again, and we go to credits, and I'm just like, jaw is on the floor.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yes.
Rarely do films go for it the way this film and source material goes for it. I would love to have seen the 87 revival with David Suchet on stage as the Sergeant Johnson character, right?
Suchet, can you imagine him bringing it? Oh,
not as a Middle Eastern man, thankfully.
Oh God,
Jesus Christ! So I think of David Suchet as Poirot, and then as a Middle Eastern man, which the very wide margin of things. Unfortunately, such a good actor, though. I can only imagine what his turn as Sergeant Johnson would have looked like. And again, someone who is like kind of seen a certain way because of a certain thing.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the Met did one of the Poirot films of the 70s. That was when Albert Finney was playing Poirot for Murder Under the Sun. Not Murder Under the Sun, sorry. Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't that yet another Connery Lumet?
Isn't that another Lumet?
Yeah, it is another Lumet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Connery's.
Wow.
Is Connery in that?
Yeah, Connery's in that as well. I want to say
the dead body.
He plays Arbuthnot. Is that the dead body?
It could be. I can't remember the name of the character because when I saw the remake, the Brana remake, and I was like, oh, Johnny Depp's he's dead. Okay. It's pretty quick. Yeah. Pretty quick. I think that was the movie everybody was like pretty happy with his performance. Oh, Johnny Depp's in this, and he gets murdered brutally. Okay, good. We like that.
It is the Richard. It is the Richard Widmark character in that film. That is the Johnny Depp.
Oh, okay, okay.
Sean
So
Connery
he's actually
plays one of the
there.
suspects.
All right.
Yeah,
you're right. That was yet another Lumet Connery thing. And then I know I saw Family Business when it was out, but I don't remember anything about it. In my mind, I mix it up with The Freshman.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 5 movies together. That's no joke. As like a continuing collaboration. Yeah.
And not all of them are similarly, like, they're all kind of a piece, but they're not all similarly toned either. Like, Family Business is much more of a comedy than this movie is. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Go fucking
take much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, Taxi Driver is like an uproarious comedy compared to this.
Yeah, really. It's got a lot of high moments of high comedy, doesn't it?
It's ironic you bring that up. I'm supposed to record an intro. There's a film society in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and they're like, hey, can you record an intro for us for Taxi Driver? I'm like, okay, sure, yeah. Like, what a fun night at the movies it's going to be Saturday night for these people to go out and see Taxi Driver. All right.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. No, it's we the people, not we the people.
Yeah, exactly. No, that is a really funny movie.
It is.
It is really funny and in the darkest possible ways. But I mean, that movie goes to hell by the end, and also has a famously ambiguous ending that is deeply unsettling. But that's a relatively fun time compared to The Offense.
Most things are, including Seven.
Yes.
Including Seven, a film that ends with a man opening a box with Gwyneth Paltrow's head in it.
Oh, is that what's in the box?
What's in the box?
Because he was asking. Nobody ever told him.
Nobody ever told him.
I thought it was a Christmas present.
See, Mike, it's the implication.
Okay.
It's all about the implication. Track it down on Tubi when you're watching your other bullshit on Tubi, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do people watch on Tubi? Like, I don't know, but you could watch this.
Well, you can watch almost anything on Tubi is the thing. It's like, it's the closest, you got to put up with the ads, which is, of course, horrible. But of the streaming services, it's the closest thing to a corner video store that there is.
Mm-hmm. True.
It's true.
It's a very sad state of affairs because, like, if I got to watch commercials, I'd rather pay late fees, to the corner video store.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what watching the ads is in this day and age?
Late fees?
Yeah.
I would rather pay late fees.
You cannot speed through them. They've made that impossible. And, again, it's maybe I'm being told a message by the advertising universe, but man, it's always ads for drugs, and they're always like Happy Fun Ball by the end, where it's like all the indications go on and on and on, like that Saturday Night Live sketch. It's like I'm going, wait, if you've got like to stop smoking, if this drug causes suicidal ideations, should you be advertising it on television, even if you're warning people?
Hey, maybe it's better than being depressed.
Maybe better than being depressed.
They can't advertise for cigarettes or a lot of alcohols on TV, but yeah, we're okay with all this other stuff. Yeah. Do not take it if you are pregnant or intend on becoming pregnant. Oh, okay.
That's
like
to be fair,
ever in my life.
That's my state normally, is I'm always intending to be pregnant. So
I'm ovulating right now.
Right. At this moment.
Yeah. But I guess, for people watching it on Tubi, that's the price. You gotta sit through some bad drug indications, read at lightning speed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on that note, let's take a break and we'll play a preview for the next Kulturecast of Mike White May.
Hi, I'm Susan.
And I'm Sharon. And we're the hosts of 80s TV Ladies.
Check us out wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
And please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at 80s TV Ladies.
You can find interviews and exclusive behind-the-scenes content on all of your favorite 80s TV ladies.
80s TV Ladies is the place to go. Please join us.
Hi, this is HP from Noise Junkies.
And this is Father Malone from Dark Destinations.
Please join us as we examine one of the greatest sitcoms in television history, Taxi, on Night Mr. Walters, a Taxi podcast.
Good night, Mr. Walters.
Good evening, and welcome to Night Gallery.
Thank you, Rod. And I want to welcome everyone to Midnight Viewing, where once a month we talk all about your follow-up to The Twilight Zone, Rod Serling's Night Gallery.
They say it's Rod Serling's Night Gallery, and it isn't really Rod Serling's Night Gallery, it's somebody else's.
Oh, we know. We talk about it a lot. Your curators at Midnight Viewing are the projection booth's Mike White.
What can happen to human beings when trust is wiped out by suspicion?
And Kulturecast's Chris Stachiw.
Small boy encased in a crystal ball.
And I'm Father Malone.
The kind of thing that usually infests nightmares.
Join us monthly at Midnight Viewing, the Night Gallery podcast at weirdingwaymedia.com.
Doesn't remotely belong to me. I have no proprietary interest in that at all.
Within these walls, men come to seek God. He has come to seek a killer.
We found the body horribly mutilated under a window which was found closed. Somebody told you.
A man of reason in a world of blind faith.
Yes, small blood here.
You mean that he committed suicide?
Elementary. And a crime that could not be suppressed. Ink stains. He did not write with his tongue, I presume.
I don't like this place.
I find it most stimulating. Should we tell him? No. I am most curious to see the library for myself. May I do so? No.
But what if he should learn it of his own accord?
Written with lemon juice. Hey! Who's there?
You overestimate his talents.
This one, I grant you, did not commit suicide.
When he is challenged by a man of cruelty and power, the hunter becomes the hunted.
Brethren, if you please! The matter has occurred of the utmost gravity. Had someone else not chosen to look in the wrong direction, several men of God might still be with us.
Other monks will meet their deaths here, and they also will have blackened fingers and blackened tongues.
His fang is black, just as Brother William foretold.
Yes, I was right.
He knew, just as I, too, would have known had I been the murderer.
You go that way.
Lock them up!
One final murder has been planned.
Master! Master? How do we get out?
With some difficulty.
And it's his. Sean Connery. F. Murray Abraham. The Name of the Rose. A story of unholy murder.
So on the next Kulturecast of Mike White May, we're going to be taking a look at the name. I was going to say In the Name of the Rose. The Name of the Rose.
I have a special memory of The Name of the Rose. Rented and watched that with my grandmother.
Oh,
and
nice.
Yeah, so it's like trip to the video store. It's like, oh, Sean Connery. Oh, it's about monks. You think that this is going to be totally fine, and then it is very much not fine for watching with grandma.
Yeah, we've actually covered The Name of the Rose at one point in the past, and I'm actually really excited to recover it because it's a movie that I really enjoy. And Spencer, similarly to yourself, I saw it at my grandparents' house when I was growing up. So I mean, my grandparents loved Connery. My grandfather fucking loved the third Last Crusade. The third Indiana Jones movie was his favorite. He loved Connery as Bond, and like The Name of the Rose is just another further extension of Connery. And my grandparents, speaking of the Poirot and Agatha Christie of it all, they were huge like murder mystery readers. So The Name of the Rose is like right in that wheelhouse. So
exactly, makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
until it doesn't.
That's right. And so we'll be joined on that episode by Richard Haddam, who we do another show with that I'm sure Mike will plug when I give him an opportunity to, which is right now. So Mike, where can people find you and the things that you work on when you're not here with me?
Pretty much everything that I do is available over at weirdingmaymedia.com as well, with that exception of the show that we do with Richard, which is Ranking on Bond, which is wrapping up this month, or actually June 1st, I think will be the last episode. That is a Patreon exclusive. So come on over to patreon.com/projection booth or patreon.com/Kulturecast. Get your eyes and ears on that one. And we have an announcement coming up about a replacement show for that, which will not be Patreon exclusive. But if you are a Patreon member, you get early access to that one. So I'm waiting with bated breath to put out the word for that one.
And it'll be ad-free as well. 1 month early and ad-free. Spencer, what about you? Anything you want to plug? Anywhere people can find you if they want to hunt you down?
No, I'm making myself more and more scarce on social media. Really
Same.
trying to pull away. Currently, trying to get away from Instagram because that's really become a cesspool of advertising, and I'm not getting to see pictures of my friends' dogs and children and vacations so much anymore because it feels like kind of a messed up ghost town. So I don't know, but I'm teaching. We're a few weeks away from finally getting to summer, and then I'm gonna finally finish this movie I've been working on for too long. So that's what I'm up to, and so people won't be able to find me because the rest of school I'm hunkering down, and then I will not emerge publicly until my movie is done because it has to be finished finally.
Not until that groundhog sees its shadow.
That's right.
Exactly. No, I mean, believe me, I have been living in Groundhog Day for a long time.
Puxatony Parsons, as they call it.
Yeah,
I haven't heard.
Exactly. Oh my God.
Not the God, a God.
A God. Well, as for me, you can find me over at weirdingwaymedia.com as well, where the things that I work on can be found, like this show, the soon-to-be-announced show that Mike is talking about that will not be a Patreon exclusive, and so many other things. Yeah, that's where you can find it. So go on over there, like, rate, and review this show on iTunes or Spotify. Please, if you're getting it somewhere else, get it on one of those two places. Either one is fine at this point. I can't really advocate for either in either direction because it doesn't seem to matter. But do one of those two if you're going to get your podcasts anywhere. Spencer, thank you so much for joining us. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Really, really happy to be invited along. Thanks, guys.
And as always, we'll catch you on the next episode.